The rain hammered against the window like fists demanding entry. But inside room 214 of the rundown motel on the outskirts of Pittsburgh, the storm felt like it was born in Alex's chest. He lay there, heart pounding from the chase that had led them here, fleeing the bar fight. The slurs hurled like weapons. The raw fear that Jordan's badge wouldn't shield them both from the world's sharp edges. In that suspended breath, as Jordan's steady breathing synced with the thunder, Alex realized this was the moment everything cracked open. Two men, worlds apart, bound by a glance that promised more than safety, it promised survival. Jordan shifted slightly, his arm brushing Alex's under the thin sheet, and neither pulled away. It was the first night they'd crossed that invisible line, the one drawn by years of stolen glances in the faculty lounge where Alex taught history to restless teens, and the firehouse where Jordan pulled people from flames without flinching. Alex, 28 and still figuring out how to own the quiet parts of himself, had always buried his desires under lesson plans and late-night grading. Jordan, 32, with calluses from axes and hoses, wore his strength like armor. But tonight, in this anonymous room smelling of stale coffee and regret, the armor slipped. The fight at O'Malley's had started over nothing, a spilled drink, a muttered word, but it escalated when some drunk in a trucker hat clocked Jordan's tattoo peeking from his sleeve. The subtle rainbow arc woven into a phoenix rising from ashes. "Fucking fairy," the guy spat, and before Alex could think, he was shoving back, his teacher's voice cracking into something fierce. Jordan had hauled him out, siren silent in his truck as they sped away, the city lights blurring into streaks of accusation. Now, miles from the noise, the adrenaline ebbed, leaving only the weight of what they'd dodged and what they couldn't anymore. Alex turned his head, studying Jordan's profile in the faint glow from the parking lot sign flickering through the curtains. The firefighter's face, usually set in that easy grin that charmed kids at school assemblies, was etched with lines of exhaustion. They'd known each other for months, orbiting like planets afraid of collision. Alex grading papers in the station's break room during Jordan's shifts. Jordan showing up to chaperone dances with a wink that lingered too long. But tonight, with the door locked and the world shut out, the pull was magnetic. "You okay?" Jordan murmured. "I still closed." Voice rough from shouting down the bigot back at the bar. Alex swallowed, the lump in his throat tasting like unshed tears. "Yeah. Just. That guy. He could've." "Chill." Jordan's hand found his, fingers intertwining with a gentleness that belied the power in his grip. "He's gone. We're here. Here." The word hung between them, heavy with implication. Alex's pulse raced, not from fear now, but from the heat radiating from Jordan's body, the way his thumb traced slow circles on Alex's knuckles. It was innocent, almost, but in the charged air, it was everything. Alex had spent years in closets of his own making, coming out to his sister in whispers over Thanksgiving turkey, dodging questions from colleagues with deflections about focusing on career. Jordan, out and proud since his academy days, carried the scars of it, the family that stopped calling after his wedding invite went unanswered, the precinct pranks that cut deeper than jokes. But in this bed, squeezed into a space meant for one, they fit. Alex's mind raced with what-ifs. What if this was a start? What if the silence broke them before dawn? Jordan's eyes opened then, dark blue in the low light, searching Alex's face with an intensity that stole his breath. "I've wanted this," Jordan said softly. No preamble, just truth laid bare. "You. Us." For longer than I should admit, the confession landed like lightning, illuminating every hidden corner of Alex's heart. He leaned in, tentative, their foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the scant inches between. The rain softened to a patter, as if the storm itself approved. And when their lips met, hesitant at first, then urgent, hands exploring with the reverence of men who'd waited lifetimes, it wasn't just a kiss. It was a vow, sealed in the quiet where words failed. Morning came too soon, gray light seeping under the blinds like an unwelcome guest. Alex woke to the scent of Jordan's skin, smoke and soap, and for a moment, he let himself believe it could last. They dressed in silence, Jordan pulling on his department hoodie over the t-shirt that hugged his chest, Alex smoothing his button up, the one stained faintly from last night's chaos. Over weak motel coffee and paper cups, they mapped the day, Alex back to his classroom, Jordan to the rig, lives resuming their separate rhythms. But as they hugged goodbye in the lot, Jordan's truck idling like a reluctant beast, he pressed a key into Alex's palm. "My place. Tonight. If you want." Alex nodded, the metal warm against his skin. "I want." The drive back to the city was a blur of highways and half-formed dreams. Alex's classroom awaited, filled with sophomores dissecting the civil rights movement, irony thick as the chalk dust. He lectured on hidden histories, voices silenced by fear. But his mind wandered to Jordan's laugh, the way his eyes crinkled when he teased. By lunch, his phone buzzed, a photo from Jordan, the firehouse dog, Max, with a caption, "Missing my favorite distraction already." Alex's reply was simple, a heart emoji, his first unguarded admission in text. It felt like stepping into sunlight after years in shadow. That evening, Pittsburgh's bridges glowed under sodium lamps as Alex navigated to Jordan's apartment in Lawrenceville, a converted mill with exposed brick and a view of the Allegheny. The door opened to Jordan in sweats, hair damp from a shower, holding 2 beers and a grin that lit the room brighter than the skyline. "Dinner's pizza. Hope that's not too teacherly domestic," Jordan joked, but his eyes held that same vulnerability from the motel, the one that made Alex's chest ache with tenderness. They ate on the couch, knees touching, talking in circles around the obvious. Jordan shared stories from calls, the kid he'd pulled from a car wreck, the widow who'd thanked him with pie. Alex confessed his fears of tenure tracks that demanded conformity, of parents who'd pull kids if they knew. Laughter wove through the heavy parts, Jordan mimicking a stuffy principal, Alex recounting a student's wild essay on Stonewall. As plates cleared, the air thickened. Jordan set his beer down, turning to Alex with deliberate slowness. "Last night, it wasn't just the adrenaline. For me," Alex's heart stuttered. "Me neither. This time, the kiss was unhurried, exploratory. Hands roamed with permission, shirts discarded in a trail to the bedroom. Jordan's body was a map of strength and stories, freckles from summer drills, the tattoo Alex traced with fingertips. They moved together like they'd rehearsed it in dreams, bodies speaking the language their voices hesitated to. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that smelled of fresh laundry and possibility, Jordan whispered, "Stay." Alex did, waking to birdsong and the realization that this, messy, real. Terrifying was love's first draft. Weeks blurred into a rhythm that felt stolen. Stolen mornings in Jordan's kitchen. Alex in boxers flipping eggs while Jordan scrolled calls on his phone. Stolen afternoons. Jordan crashing Alex's free period with coffee and a kiss behind the storage closet door. Stolen nights. Bodies learning each other in the dark. Whispers turning to gasps that echoed off brick walls. But Pittsburgh wasn't kind to secrets. Whispers started at the firehouse. Jordan's mystery guy spotted at the market. Hand in hand. At school, a colleague's sideways glance after Alex's rainbow pin glinted on his lanyard. Then came the call. Jordan's captain. Voice gruff over speaker. Heard you're seeing that teacher. Keep it clean. Ramirez. Department's watching. Jordan hung up, jaw tight, and Alex felt the chill seep in. It's nothing, Jordan said, but his eyes said otherwise. The first crack came on Friday. Rain-slick streets mirroring the tension building. Alex's class had debated identity. A brave non-binary student sharing their story. And, in the vulnerability of it, Alex almost outed himself, almost. Instead, he drove to Jordan's with a knot in his gut, only to find him pacing. Phone clutched like a lifeline. My brother's in town, Jordan said, voice flat. Family dinner. He doesn't know. Alex's stomach dropped. Jordan's family, Catholic holdouts from the old neighborhood, had cut ties years ago, but blood pulled hard. Tell him. Or don't. But I'm here. Jordan's laugh was bitter. Easy for you to say. Your folks send care packages. The word stung. Sharper than intended. Alex's parents, progressive academics in Philly, had embraced him with open arms and therapy recommendations. But Jordan's silence wasn't rejection. It was survival, etched from a youth of fix-it prayers and furtive hookups in church basements. They fought then, words tumbling like debris, accusations of hiding, fears of losing. Alex stormed out into the downpour, tires hydroplaning on the way home, regret chasing him like headlights. Alone in his sterile apartment, he scrolled old texts, Jordan's good morning. Handsome, now mocking in the quiet. Saturday dawn gray. Alex nursing coffee and cowardice. His phone stayed silent until noon. A voicemail. Jordan's voice cracked. I was wrong. Come over. Please. The drive felt eternal. Each red light a judgment. Jordan opened the door, eyes red-rimmed, pulling Alex into a hug that crushed the air from his lungs. I told him. Jordan murmured into his hair. About us. He hung up. But it's done hiding. Tears pricked Alex's eyes. They collapsed onto the couch, holding tight as sobs racked Jordan's frame. Release. Finally, after years of dammed-up grief, Alex stroked his back, murmuring nonsense comforts, until the storm passed and they made love with a desperation born of near loss. Bodies reaffirming what words had fractured. Healing wasn't linear. Sunday brunch at a quiet cafe turned heads. A burly firefighter and his bespectacled boyfriend. Hands linked across Formica. A server smiled. An old man grumbled. But they stayed, ordering extra bacon, laughing at the absurdity. Jordan's brother texted an apology emoji. Tentative bridge extended. Alex's principal raised an eyebrow at the next staff meeting, but said nothing. Progress. Pittsburgh style. Fall deepened. leaves carpeting the streets in crimson warnings of change. Jordan's shifts grew brutal, a warehouse blaze that singed his gear, a false alarm pulling him from their anniversary dinner. Alex waited up, hard at his throat, each time sirens wailed distant. One night, after a close call with a collapsing beam, Jordan came home shaking, collapsing into Alex's arms. "I thought of you," he gasped. "Had to get back." In the vulnerability, Alex saw the depth of it. Love not as fairy tale, but anchor in the gale. He held Jordan through the night, tracing scars old and new, promising, "You always will." Winter crept in with its bite, holidays looming like minefields. Alex's family invited them to Philly, his mom already planning stocking stuffers for Jordan dear. Jordan hesitated, old wounds flaring, but agreed. The train ride was charged, hands clasped under coats, city giving way to suburbs strung with lights. Dinner was chaos, siblings teasing, Dad grilling Jordan on football, awkward pivot to books when he admitted poetry. But acceptance wrapped them like a quilt, his sister pulling Jordan aside for big bro advice, Mom slipping Alex a wink. On Christmas Eve, snow blanketing the lawn, they walked the block, breaths fogging, Jordan stopping under a street lamp. "This is family," he said, voice thick. "Real one." Alex kissed him there, public and unapologetic, the world watching but not breaking them. Spring thawed the ice, but not without tempests. A school board meeting turned ugly, parent complaints about agenda pushing after Alex's Pride Assembly. Threats of cuts, whispers of transfer. Jordan rallied, showing up with a petition from a station, his union buddies signing in solidarity. "We're in this," he said, fierce. "All of us." The board relented, but the toll lingered. Alex doubted, nights staring at ceilings, wondering if love could weather institutional hate. Jordan sensed it, countering with gestures, a weekend cabin in the Poconos, where they hiked trails hand in hand, no sirens to interrupt. By the lake, fireflies dancing, Jordan dropped to one knee, not with a ring, but a promise. "Marry me someday." "When it's right." Alex pulled him up, laughing through tears. "Yes. Now. Someday." All of it, summer burn hot. Their rhythm solidified. Jordan's captain promoted him to lieutenant, crediting that fire in your eyes lately. Alex's tenure sailed through, his classes buzzing with honest discussions on identity. They moved in together, a row house in Bloomfield, walls echoing with shared laughter and moans. But fate tested them one last time. A massive call, high-rise inferno downtown. Jordan leading the team in. Alex watched news feeds from home, gut twisting as smoke billowed. Hours stretched eternal. Then, the knock, not tragedy, but Jordan, soot-streaked, grinning through exhaustion. "Save them all. Thought of you on the ladder, in the shower, washing away ash." They clung, water cascading like renewal. That night, in their bed, wide enough for two, sheets soft from use, they shared silence again. But this time, it sang. No words needed, their bodies, entwined, told the tale of endurance, of love forged in fire and rain. Years later, vows exchanged under Pittsburgh's bridges, rings glinting like beacons. Alice would look back on that motel night and smile.
I can't
The
hide
silence
this
hadn't just spoken,
anymore.
it had built them a life, brick by
I
tinder
love
brick,
you